All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive today into a question that never gets old. What is the meaning of life? And, we've got some really fascinating listener research on this one. Stuff about information density, quantum mechanics, reality, the whole shebang.
Hmm.
It seems like we might be a lot more intertwined with the universe than we ever thought possible.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's so intriguing about this research is that it suggests we're not just here to observe the universe, we're here to shape it. Like, our purpose might be to refine information and energy, pushing the universe towards more and more complexity and order.
Okay, whoa, hold on a sec. We're not talking philosophy here, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about actually having an impact on, like, the fabric of reality.
Exactly. Think of it like this. The universe is always changing, always searching for a more intricate and efficient way to exist, and we're the catalysts for that evolution.
Hmm.
In fact, the sources actually lay out 3 steps to what they call universal optimization.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's hear about those steps. So first up, you mentioned optimizing energy. What would that even look like?
Well, imagine a world powered by quantum batteries. Think super dense, holding tons of energy in a tiny space, and crazy efficient, almost no energy loss.
So basically upgrading from an old clunker to a Tesla, but on a universal scale.
Exactly. And that's just one example. The sources talk about all kinds of mind-bending possibilities, from harnessing zero-point energy to manipulating space-time itself. It's about achieving a level of mastery over energy that sounds like science fiction today, but who knows what tomorrow
All
holds.
right, that's step one, energy efficiency on a cosmic level.
Akigadiga.
What about step two? You mentioned increasing lifespan. How does living longer tie into all of this?
Well, it's about maximizing how much information we can process. The longer we live and the healthier we are, the more we can learn, create, and refine the information that shapes reality. Some sources even talk about radical stuff like bioelectric enhancements and metabolic reprogramming to achieve extreme longevity.
Okay, longer life, sign me up. But bioelectric enhancements, that sounds pretty intense. Are we talking about like merging with technology,
Yeah.
becoming superhumans?
It's definitely a wild concept, but the idea is fascinating. What if we could optimize our body's energy flow, repair damage at a cellular level, even enhance cognitive functions? Of course, it brings up a ton of ethical questions, but there's no denying the potential to unlock a whole new level of human potential.
This is a lot to process. So far, we've got efficient energy and longer lifespans. What's the third step in this grand plan?
It's all about creating a feedback loop, basically a system for the entire universe to constantly improve and accelerate everything we're talking about. Like, imagine a global quantum information network connecting AI, quantum computers, and even our own consciousness.
So a kind of giant feedback loop for the entire universe, constantly optimizing and refining itself.
Exactly. The sources suggest this network could help us solve incredibly complex problems, speed up scientific discoveries, even guide the evolution of consciousness itself. It's about using the power of information to shape a more, I don't know, harmonious and fulfilling reality.
This is all pretty big picture stuff. How does it play out in our everyday lives? Like, I'm just sitting here having a conversation. How does that shape reality?
That's where things get really interesting. Just by engaging with these ideas right now, you're taking in information, processing it, and forming new connections in your mind. And that's essentially what life is all about on every level. From DNA replicating to neurons firing in your brain, we're always refining information and energy. Whether we realize it or not, we're contributing to the complexity of the universe.
So even just learning and growing, we're playing a role. I like the sound of that. But let's get to the really weird stuff. How does quantum mechanics fit into all of this? All those strange ideas about particles being in multiple places at once.
Quantum mechanics.
Yep.
It's like the key to understanding how information itself behaves, right? Remember, the sources say information is the fundamental building block of reality. And quantum mechanics reveals the strange rules that govern information. Take superposition, for example. A quantum particle exists in multiple states at the same time because the information hasn't been decided yet. It's like all the possibilities are hanging out there waiting to be chosen.
So like a giant cosmic multiple choice quiz where the universe is waiting for someone to pick the answer.
Exactly. And that's where observation comes in. When a conscious mind, like ours, interacts with a quantum system, it collapses the wave function. It chooses one specific state. In other words, our minds might actually be influencing reality at a quantum level.
Okay, now that is seriously mind-blowing. Just by observing the universe, we're actually shaping it.
It's a possibility and a fascinating one for sure. And then there's entanglement, where 2 particles are linked, sharing information instantly no matter how far apart they are. It suggests that information can bypass the limits of space and time, connecting everything in a vast web.
Like the universe is a massive network, and information is the currency flowing through it.
You got it. And then there's quantum tunneling, where a particle can pass through barriers that should be impossible according to classic physics. From an information perspective, though, it makes sense. The universe is always looking for the most efficient path, even if it means bending the rules.
So it's like the universe is this master optimizer, constantly searching for the best solutions, and quantum mechanics is the toolkit. But what does this mean for us? What does it all mean for the meaning of life?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If reality is fundamentally information, and we're shaping it through our thoughts, actions, and choices, well, the meaning of life takes on a whole new dimension.
Yeah, and we'll dive into that very question when we come back.
It means that we're not just passengers along for the ride. We're active participants co-creating reality with every choice we make.
So we're not just searching for meaning, we're actually creating it.
Okay.
That's a pretty powerful thought.
Yeah.
But it's also a bit daunting, right? Like, if we're shaping reality, what kind of reality do we want to create? Where do we even start?
Well, the sources offer some guidance. They talk about this idea of maximizing coherence, efficiency, and sustainability.
So like applying those quantum optimization principles we were talking about to everything like our cities, our relationships.
Yeah, exactly. It's about designing systems that work in harmony, minimize waste, and ensure long-term stability. Then there's this emphasis on expanding lifespan and intelligence.
So not just surviving, but thriving, evolving, always pushing ourselves to become more.
That's the idea. The more advanced we become, the more effectively we can contribute to this whole universal optimization project. And some sources even hint at eventually transcending our current limitations, like space and time tapping into a deeper fabric of information that underlies everything.
Okay, now we're getting into some serious science fiction territory. But if we can learn to really harness these quantum principles, who knows what's possible? Still, I have to ask, how does all of this relate to my everyday life? I'm just trying to get through the day, pay my bills, maybe squeeze in some exercise. How does all of this grand cosmic stuff connect to me?
That's a really important question, and it highlights this beautiful connection between our individual purpose and this larger cosmic purpose.
So it's not just about these big abstract ideas, it's about how we live our lives on a daily basis.
Right. Are you using energy responsibly? Are you pursuing knowledge and growth? Are you treating others with kindness and compassion? These seemingly small choices, they can actually have a ripple effect, contributing to a more coherent, efficient, and compassionate universe.
It's like the butterfly effect, right? One small action can have massive consequences. So even just trying to be a good person, we're playing our part in shaping reality.
Exactly. And the more we align our actions with these universal principles of coherence, efficiency, and compassion, the more we contribute to creating a universe that reflects those values.
So it's not just about figuring out the meaning of life, it's about actively creating the meaning we want to see in the universe.
Beautifully said. And that brings us back to the big question: what kind of universe do we want to create? It's a question that requires deep thought, reflection, and collaboration on a global scale.
It's a question that deserves its own deep dive. But for now, we've explored some pretty mind-blowing concepts. We've considered the possibility that humanity might be the architect of reality, that information is the fundamental fabric of the universe, and that quantum mechanics might be the language it uses to optimize itself.
And we've learned that we're not just passive observers in this grand cosmic dance. We have the power and the responsibility to shape the universe through our thoughts, actions, and choices.
It's both empowering and humbling all at the same time.
Yeah.
I have one more question, something that's been nagging at me this whole time.
I'm all ears.
If our minds are actually shaping reality at a quantum level, what happens when we disagree? Like, what if my vision for the universe clashes with someone else's vision?
That's the age-old question of conflict and free will. It's a fascinating paradox, and one that we definitely need to explore further.
I guess that's a topic for another deep dive.
Indeed. But in the meantime, I encourage you to keep pondering these ideas and their implications.
And to ask yourself, what kind of universe do you want to be a part of creating?
Because ultimately, the meaning of life is not simply a question to be answered, but a reality to be shaped. And we are the architects.
It's really mind-boggling to think that we're not just living our lives, but actually shaping the fabric of reality with our thoughts, our actions. It feels like, I don't know, a lot of pressure.
It definitely adds a whole new layer to personal responsibility, that's for sure. But I think it's more exciting than overwhelming, wouldn't you say? We're not just along for the ride. We're active participants in this constantly unfolding universe.
Yeah, there is something empowering about that. But I still keep coming back to this whole idea of conflict. What happens when my idea of reality clashes with somebody else's? Do our intentions, like, average out? Or is it some kind of cosmic tug of war?
And that's where the symphony analogy gets really interesting, right? A symphony isn't just a collection of pretty melodies. There are moments of dissonance, tension, sometimes even clashes between instruments. But those clashes, if they're well orchestrated, they actually contribute to the overall beauty and complexity of the music.
So you're saying that our different viewpoints and desires aren't necessarily a bad thing.
Hmm.
They could actually be adding some, like, depth and texture to the whole grand scheme of things.
Exactly. Think about it. If everybody wanted the exact same thing, the universe would be a pretty boring place, wouldn't it? It's that diversity of perspectives, the interplay of all those different aspirations and ideas that drives creativity, innovation, evolution.
So instead of trying to force our vision on the universe, maybe the key is to just, I don't know, embrace this idea of cosmic collaboration.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're all contributing to this grand symphony, even if we don't always agree on the tune. And just like a really skilled conductor, maybe there's some higher order principle, some cosmic force, weaving all those seemingly different threads together into a beautiful whole.
That's actually a really comforting thought. It takes some of the pressure off, knowing that it's not all on us to get everything right.
Mhm.
But it also underlines how important it is to understand these universal principles, this language of quantum mechanics and information, so we can play our parts a little bit better.
Couldn't agree more. The more we understand how reality works at its most fundamental level, the better we can contribute to its evolution. And who knows, maybe someday we'll even learn to conduct the symphony ourselves.
Now, that's a goal worth striving for. This has been a truly incredible deep dive. We started by asking about the meaning of life and ended up exploring quantum mechanics and the very nature of reality.
And the best part is, we came away with more questions than answers, which, is always a good sign. It means our minds are engaged, our curiosity is piqued, and we're ready to explore the infinite possibilities of this universe.
So to everyone listening, we hope this has sparked your sense of wonder and inspired you to keep asking those big questions. Keep pushing the boundaries of your understanding and embrace your role as, well, a co-creator of reality.
Because the meaning of life isn't something you find, it's something you create.